Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Eternal Self. So today I'm going to go over how I compose the music for a film trailer. So I'm going to use Planet of the Apes. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It's highly entertaining. So for most of this, I'm going to be using Spitfire's Albion 1. I highly recommend it if you really want to get into composing and soundtracks. It'll have a discount on Black Friday, and it has so many sounds. There are different sample packs, one of which is here called Intimate Mellow Organ. So let's see how that sounds. So it's kind of a mix between the lower and higher sounds there. You can see here's one of the samples here, San Juan and Rauda. So we have here, let's play around E, let's add a G note and a C note. So this is how we're starting out. Let's make sure they all have the same velocity, or as I call it, impact, same thing, which you can see down here. So that's going to be the starting note, or in a way those are the second and third notes. At the beginning I'm going to add this Native American sample, which I love. It's great for this kind of trailer. I'll have that again on the drop here and at the end. So that comes in later. I've added a lot of reverb there onto that. And yeah, you can see with this sample here, this sampler from Contact or from Spitfire, I have automated the change between the samples there. So I kind of mix them into the final one, which is here. It's quite a bit louder. And then yeah, just messed around with the chords. I found something I like, so it starts with this and goes to that and on. So I've had a lot of reverb there. I've kept the EQ, cut it into the middle there because that's where most of the sound comes from. Frequency cut on the mid there, where it's quite high. So we just still hear the sides. But yeah, we cut the mid there a bit. On top of that, I have this other sound, the same sound, which I've panned more to the left. And it maintains some of the highs that we're missing earlier on there. So at the end of that, to tie each segment over, you need something there. So I've added quite a few things to tie between each bar in a way, or 4 bars to the next section. Let's have a listen to this choir. So I'm not so happy with that R sound. Have it again here on the main drop. So on top of that lead sample there, on top of that main chord, we can add things now onto that. So we have the strings here. Let's have a listen. So again, this is Spitfire Albion 1. I kind of call them shaky strings. I guess you call it vibrato or something. But yeah, we have that on top. It's kind of leading us up to the next segment there. So after that, I want to add some rhythmic kind of drums. So let's mess around with that. I want to adjust the kind of velocity or impact of each one. So on top of that, let's build something more rhythmic there from Spitfire's Albion 1. So as well as the choir sound, which we have tying over the different segments, at the end of a section, or a bar section as I call it, we want a few more drum impacts. So let's see what we have here. Very heavy sounding, impactful drums there to tie us over and keep building us up. So again, I call these tie over sounds, and it's all part of a build up, which for trailer music, you want to keep building things up and then take it away, just like leading up to the drop in an electronic music track, and then bring it all back with more impact and more sounds. So let's have a listen to a couple more tie over sounds here we have. And then at the end of a tie over, or at the beginning of an impact, we have a huge impact drum, which sounds like this, again from Spitfire's Albion 1. So that's where most of our bass is coming. If it's already missing somewhere else, we have it here. But on top of that, lead, choiry, synth sound, I want to add a bass. And if you have ever been to the cinema, which I'm sure you have, you've seen these trailers with fantastic low-end basses, which here I have a sine wave. I've tuned it quite low, but so you can hear it. Let's have a listen. So it maintains the highs and the lows there of it, which you'd want to hear on a phone as well. It's quite an impactful sound and steady. You don't want it going up and down. You could add compression, but it's nicer to have less with this kind of music. Now our trailer has started, so we want to keep adding different kind of impactful sounds. Again, there's the heavy drum there, and we'll come back to that later. I'll show you what I've done for that. But we have our rhythmic drums, which will keep us going. We have these 4 chords, which add all the atmosphere and the emotion. And then on top of that, some strings to lead us to the next part. But we can't keep doing that forever, can we? So we want to be bringing more sounds in at this point. So I've got another Spitfire Albion 1 sample here. Let's have a listen to this. So it's a lot more resonant, but also lower, which you can see here. It's a beautiful kind of brass sound. And of course, huge impacts coming in now. After that brass sound, where do you go? You add a real brass sound, which is also from the Albion 1. Brass sounds low. Some beautiful sounds. It'll work really well together. If you've seen Inception, you'll know that Johnny Marr added guitar to the soundtrack, specifically electric guitar, which, if done correctly in a trailer, works really well. Now, I don't have a guitar. I can't play electric guitar. I used to. So I've kind of used a sample of a guitar, and I've tuned it myself using a resonator. Now, resonators are awesome, harmonic resonators. This is the stock one in Ableton. I highly recommend it. So I'm just changing the notes there using that. Added OTT there. Kept it quite high, panned it left and right. So that's another thing that can help us build to the drop there, where I take out the drums just like any track where you have a drop, build up all the impacts right before we hit the drop, the deep impact drum. And out of this, I've made another rhythmic drum. This one's a lot heavier, a lot more impactful. I've cut some of the lows there with that sound. So this is like a tie over sound that goes down and kind of leads us up to the next bar. We're playing shorter bars or sections here. You can hear it there in the background. building up between each bar. Ties us over. So with all these drum samples, you can see there are things happening in the trailer. They just match up, you know, you can add the drums where you want. I can change it around a bit. Of course, like electronic music or any music, we can have a clap. It's kind of a quiet clap, but this is like a wood block hit almost. I call it a clap hit. It's kind of clappy. And then hatty sound. Part of this amazing dough and percussion ensemble, which is in the Spitfire Albion one as well. So the claps are a bit loud there. I can, rather than turning down the volume, you want to mess around with the velocity. Bringing that beautiful Native American sample back there. I think to have something epic about nature, it makes sense whether you have these beautiful visuals and landscapes. It really works together well. So yeah, anyway, I bought the guitar back for the second half, the main part. You could say it's a bit out of tune, it's almost repeating there, but you don't really hear it, it's more adding another touch there. So that's pretty much all the layers there, but I hear you saying there's something missing. Well, this is composing, so we need strings, right? I think that's the final part. So yeah, we need some strings. So it's not the vibrato string there that we bring back towards the end, but yeah, let's have a mess around. So I want to kind of arpeggio, which again gives us this rhythm, this build. And it's going to match the chords, but really go with how you feel with this kind of thing. You want to go down and up using the same notes there. Sounding good. Now we want to change the chord. This is the most fun part in a way. Now we're going to have something similar to that, so we'll just copy that for the third chord. And then, conclusively, I'm going to go down a bit. It's kind of a mysterious sound there, but let's go down. So we'll listen to that. Now, for me, I'm going to layer up the strings to create the sound of an orchestra. So I have that pan to the left. I have another one here. It's kind of a softer string, but it works nicely. Give that realistic sound. This one's a bit further away. Still panned. Well, still panned to the left. Even further away here. A bit quieter. And of course, some high strings to give it more depth and levels there, frequencies. More high strings there. Now they have a bit more resonance there. So let's have a listen all together on the drop when the strings come in. And what I've done with these is just build them up. Tied them all together there a bit. Check the frequencies, the panning. In fact, a couple of them should be panned to the right. But they all have different things going on, but you can see here. Built up the frequencies there. I built up the cutoff for those. See, there's things happening now, and you can really play around with all your sounds. You can change where the drum impact is, so long as it works rhythmically. See, I've added a hat there when the snow falls on him. At the end, I just bring the guitar sound back. Ups are quite loud there. So I want things to be happening on the beats of the video, obviously. Again, these are things I'll mess around with after this point, but I've got the whole rhythm that I'm happy with and the pace of the track. Guitar sounds quite loud at the end there. Again, the sounds of the drums go really well with the explosions happening. So yeah, I love that kind of clap and hat there. It goes with, it's almost like the sound of his defiance. There's nothing particularly action-y happening there, but you really have that look in his eye, and it ties well. When he hits his head against the gun there, it's a really nice touch. I think it works well. So with this part, with the guns, sometimes you can let the action itself, in fact for this part you should let the action take precedence. You can kind of mess around with the sound design there, mix those in and out. So it's not exactly on the mark, but if I was editing the trailer here, which I have done before, I would be editing more around the sounds, actually, around the soundtrack, because you want to keep the rhythm of the soundtrack. And yeah, let's have a watch of that anyway and see how it looks in the end. Again, it's not perfectly on the mark, but you know, as I said, you would mix the trailer around the music. One thing I've learned from kind of doing this is that the lower bassy drum sounds work well with military imagery and defiance, and the higher sounds tie over with kind of things that make you jump a bit, tree branch falling, you know, things in a movie that would make your heart race, or in real life. Just give it rhythm, just keep building it up, have those tie over sounds that I mentioned. And yeah, thanks for following. Please like and subscribe. If you enjoyed that, I'll make more of that kind of content. Let me know. Composing for a film trailer.